the giant catches a human for the first time. He plans to take the person back as dinner, but right at that moment, his companion rushes forward to save Jack. Hiding nearby is completely terrified. He immediately dives into the water, not daring to make a single sound. After the giant leaves carrying his companion, Jack slowly surfaces, quietly following behind, looking for a chance to rescue him. After tracking for a long time, Jack finally arrives at the giant's lair, but just as he reaches the entrance, he freezes. There isn't just one giant here, it's an entire tribe. But to save his companion, Jack still grits his teeth and sneaks inside. He dodges the giants, while searching for his companion's whereabouts. Soon he discovers the princess locked in an iron cage, but the cage is incredibly sturdy. He can't open it at all. Right then, a giant is preparing food. He wraps his companion in dough, places him next to two pigs, sticks in some toothpicks, then pushes them all into the oven together. Seeing this scene, Jack can't wait any longer. He climbs up to a high spot using a rope, ready to make his move. But the next second, the giant picks up a cleaver, pulls the princess out of the iron cage, getting ready to chop her into food. At this life or death moment, Jack pulls a dagger from the knife rack, leaps down, stabbing right into the giant's back. The giant struggles wildly, trying to shake Jack off, but crashes head first into the wall. The dagger pierces straight through his heart. Jack successfully rescues his companions, but just as they're about to return to the ground, they discover a giant guarding the exit. Facing the snoring giant, they find a massive beehive, carefully open the giant's helmet, stuff the beehive inside, then close it back up. Finally rips off his helmet, but doesn't notice the cliff right behind him. While swatting at the wasps, he steps into thin air, plummeting straight down. After a while, the giant crashes hard onto human land. The king hears the tremendous sound, steps out of his tent to investigate. When he sees the dead giant, he finally believes giants really do exist above the vines. Although he knows the princess is still trapped up there, but for the safety of his people, the king still orders them to cut down the vines immediately, preventing the giants from invading. Soldiers hammer massive iron spikes into the vines, then they attach the chains. As the warhorses pull outward with all their strength, the enormous vine gets ripped out by the roots, but as more roots snap apart, the soldiers who can't retreat in time die on the spot. The scene ends. Soon the vine crashes down hard onto the ground. Jack grabs onto the vine with everything he has, swinging out with the princess. At this moment, the collapsing vine keeps smashing toward the castle. The next second, the vine breaks through the castle wall, sending up a massive wave of water. Seeing the path back to the human world destroyed, the two-headed giant is about to leave, but suddenly notices on the ground, there's a tiny pouch. He walks over and picks it up, pours it into his palm. Inside are actually 4 magic beans. The two-headed giant instantly gets excited. He looks at the small stream nearby, lifts his hand and blows. The magic beans get tossed into the water. The instant they touch the water, the magic beans rapidly sprout roots. The next second, massive vines burst out from the ground. With one command from the two-headed giant, the attack horn gets blown. The giant army immediately mobilizes completely. They only have one goal, that is to devour humanity. And at this moment on the ground, it's already completely empty. Just as Jack is about to leave, he sees in the reflection of the water trough, several vines are growing rapidly toward the ground. Jack instantly senses the danger, turns around and runs. Soon the vines extend to the ground. Countless giants arrive in the human world.
It's good to be back.
At the same time, Jack catches up with the princess convoy. He shouts loudly the giants are coming, but the distance is too far. They can't hear him clearly at all. Soon the giants burst out from the forest. Their massive bodies make the earth shake violently. Seeing the giants closing in, the soldiers finally start running desperately, but the giants' speed far exceeds humans. Soon some soldiers get grabbed by giants. Under the giants' continuous attacks, the soldiers, luckily ahead is the collapsed vine. Humans use their size advantage, quickly crawl through from below, while the giants can only climb over from above. This brief obstruction buys Jack and them time to escape. The soldiers in the castle see the giants attacking. The general immediately prepares for battle. He has soldiers pour hot oil into the moat to prevent the giants from crossing. When the king successfully enters the castle, the general immediately orders them to ignite the moat. Instantly flames erupt across the entire water surface, right after the drawbridge starts rising. But at this time Jack is still outside the castle. Just as the giant is about to catch up with him, Jack spurs his horse to accelerate, leaps through the air, successfully escapes into the city. The two-headed giant falls into the moat. Under the scorching flames, he thrashes wildly in the water, but the giants on shore refuse to save him. As the fire completely devours the two-headed giant, a new giant becomes the leader, but they have no idea. The two-headed giant in the water is still alive. He quietly swims through the current toward the castle interior. Before long, the giants launch another attack. A massive bell gets hurled straight into the the city. The tremendous impact instantly destroys the king's statue. Then the giant uses an iron hook to latch onto the drawbridge. This is the only path leading to the castle. Once they pull down the drawbridge, the giants can immediately seize the castle. Seeing the gate about to fall, the king orders the princess to head to the bedroom chamber. There's a secret passage leading to the tower top. She must light the beacon fire to send a warning to the neighboring kingdom, and Jack is responsible for protecting the princess's safety. Meanwhile, under the giants' pulling force, the drawbridge is barely holding on. As more and more giants join in, the drawbridge winch gets ripped right off. At the critical moment, soldiers roll. The bolt successfully hooks onto the drawbridge. Soldiers and giants begin their tug of war. Just as both sides reach a stalemate, a burning tree slams hard into the city. Turns out the giants got tired of the siege. They ripped up a whole tree, set it on fire and launched it straight at the castle. On the other side, Jack and the princess have reached the king's bedroom chamber, but suddenly violent impacts come from outside the door. The next second, the floor splits right open. Seeing this, the two immediately hide. Soon a giant hand emerges from the ground. The two-headed giant has successfully entered the palace. He drags his weapon searching through the palace, because he's already sensed the princess is nearby. Right then Jack and the princess try to peek out. Good thing the giant is just looking in the mirror. As the mirror gets smashed, Jack quickly pulls the princess toward the passage. The two-headed giant immediately gives chase, but the palace is way too low for the giant. The two successfully escape into the stairwell. The narrow space prevents the giant from entering. When they reach the upper floor, the princess immediately runs toward the beacon tower. But just then, a pair of giant hands suddenly reach out and snatch the princess right away. Right as the giant opens his mouth, he throws the bean inside. The second the bean enters the giant's body, it starts growing like crazy. The giant feels intense pain in his stomach and throws both of them out. But the next second, vines burst through the giant's body from inside. The giants outside the city have broken through the gate. The general immediately orders the iron gate shut, but the iron gate can't stop the giants at all. The giant keeps pounding on it. The gate gets destroyed instantly. The giant moves closer and closer. The soldiers are shaking with fear. Just when everyone loses hope, a massive rumbling sound comes from behind. The vines are growing out of control. They've already burst through the entire castle. At the same time, all the giants seem to sense something. They suddenly drop their weapons. The next second, they all kneel down. Everyone turns around in shock. That's when they see Jack holding up the crown. Turns out it's a crown that controls the giants. Then, Jack commands all the giants to return to the clouds above. The soldiers chop down the vines through the night. The kingdom finally returns to peace. In the end, the king gives the princess to Jack in marriage.